Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Paolo's vlog. And some of these are going to be all out of order. What happened with all this? But his week started off a little bit rough. And we had to have a serious talk about the weight gain. Because he's like, I couldn't get any plus reps on his bench day. And I'm like, well, look, are you gaining weight? He says, no, it looks like I lost a pound last week. So we had to have a real serious talk about the eating. And I'm like, peanut butter, start eating the peanut butter. And then he did. And I've had to explain to him, look, you were never fat. There's possibly some body image dysmorphia going here, because he's shown me pictures of when he had bulked to his quote unquote fattest, and he said people were telling him he wasn't fat. He was not fat. He was probably under 20% body fat still when he had bulked way too fast. And then he dieted down and lost any muscle that he had gained, and along with the extra body fat. And then he came back over to me and says, look, I need help fixing this. So we had to have that talk, of, hey, you're going to have to eat. You're going to have to gain weight, and we need to gain weight at an appropriate rate. Of course, he's in kilos because he's not in America. And, I'm like, look, let's gain a kilo a month. Let's gain a kilo a month. That's what you need to be gaining. Or minimum half, but I'd like to see a kilo. He started eating the peanut butter, and then magically he walked in and got stronger. Right? Took him a couple days. He said the scale went up, then all of a sudden he got 7 reps on the overhead press plus set. He got 5 on the deadlift, but he went 90% instead of 85. He had some plate math problems, so he ended up going heavier. So technically, with the new deadlift training max, the weight he did should have been a 3, but he got 5. Okay, this is suddenly after he gained just a little weight from a couple days of bumping his calories, adding the peanut butter in. And, again, for those who look at the sheet, you can see the workout at the start. We have a squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press day. Bench day after the peak set, we do 5 by 10. Actually, we do that on all the 4 lifts. But the 2 upper days, he does, some dips and inverted rows, right? We do dips and inverted rows. Well, at least that's what we do on the bench press day, right? So that we get him, a good 10 total work sets for his chest and triceps and everything there. And, of course, on his overhead press day, we only do the inverted rows, right? We do inverted rows only after the overhead press. It's really his easiest day. It's third workout in the week right before the deadlift day. But it lets us get the overhead press in, some extra back work. So, it works out well. His squat day, I've rotated him back over to where I'm having him do some goblet squats again. Right? We just do the same rotation with the back squats, and then we do, 3 sets of goblet squats. So I want him to get 8 sets of lower body lifts, right? Of squat dominant movements. And then we kind of do the same thing for deadlift, but with good morning, so that, again, I want at least 10 quality work sets of hip hinging every week. So what this effectively gives us is taking his volumes down to really the minimum volumes, the bottom end of the most effective range, because he struggled with weight gain in the past. He struggled with overtraining. So, 10 sets of chest presses, about 8 sets of overhead pressing, 5 sets of upper and middle back pulling, or 10 sets of that, 10 sets of squatting, 10 sets of hip hinging. That's all we need with progressive overload, good programming, and working on his nutrition. Okay. For more novice lifters like this sort of stuff is all you need. Now, sure, people could say, well, what about the linear type novice programs? Those are cookie cutter programs for people who aren't being supervised, right? They have built-in kind of fail-safe somewhat, but in his case, I'm taking control of this directly, and I'm putting him at those effective volumes. Because again, this is someone who has a habit of overtraining, worried about being fat, not eating enough, having bad nutrition, and so we're fixing that. And so we're looking at saying, okay, how much work do we need to do to get really solid muscle growth without overtraining? And this puts us in that range. And we don't need a lot of extra stuff beyond that. I don't need extra tricep work. We don't need any of that because he's getting the dips and stuff in. Will eventually I want to take him to chin-ups? You bet, so we can get more bicep. He's not quite strong enough to get the chin-ups that I want yet. But he will get there, right? We'll get there. When he's a little stronger on the inverted rows, I'll take him over to chins. And then we'll do sets of chin-ups, and that will work even better. But that's going to take a little time to get there. It's going to take a little time to get there. But ideally, yeah, I'd love for him to do chin-ups. Again, he's not quite strong enough on the inverted rows to where I think he can do sufficient chin-ups. The people say, what about the assist machines? I don't like the assist machines that much. Maybe reverse bands if we had to. But it adds a degree of complexity for him. It adds a degree of complexity we don't need. But eventually we'll do that, and then that'll give him his extra bicep work. Right? You do 10 sets of chins a week, your biceps are going to grow. Especially if you're eating. But, in the meantime, we do get some bicep growth from the inverted rows. It's just not optimal. But even then, at his experience level, his biceps will probably grow substantially just from this. All right, they'll grow substantially just from this. Plus, even all the extra stress from the goblet, squats, the deadlifts, all that stuff is actually putting stress on the arms and forearms and biceps. And I think people forget with novices how much all that little stuff matters. They forget that. Those things matter. Those little stressors add up when you're still a novice lifter, particularly when you're eating. All right, but his overhead press went good. Deadlifts went even better. Again, he managed to get 5 reps with technically what should have been around a 3 rep weight because he had some plate math problems. So, as a coach, I'm happy to see that, right? It means the food is paying off. Now, would I like to see that lower back clean up a little bit on the deadlifts? Yeah. I'd like to see him get those lats pulled down and back, tucked into his back pockets a little more. I'd like to see those hips back, and I'd like to see that bar possibly a bit closer to the shins. Because a lot of times that's what causes that back rounding, by the way. Bar too far out, all that stuff. Well, you'll notice when he does it here, it's less pronounced when he does that rep work. When he has to do it off the rack because of the smaller plates. All right? And I think it's because he has the bar closer to his shins there. Paolo, work on that. Fix it. All right, and then we finished this day up with some good mornings. All right? Basics. Squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, rows, good mornings, dips. There you go. Progressive overload on them. That's all we need. That's all we need. All right, and I'll let you guys watch his good mornings here at the end as I wind this down. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.